Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in. Today's video is going to be decluttering some highlighters. I had been on the slow path to decluttering for a few videos back. I will link those down in the description or click the I here to see the full playlist. And I still am trying to get that way. I'm just coming off of a move and so things are still kind of chaotic outside of what you can see in the camera. So rather than figuring out, rotating my camera, finding a place to do the full going through my collection and talking about what I keep versus don't keep, I just already did it myself and I'm gonna go through exactly what I am getting rid of and decluttering here today. And I gotta say, before I even get into it, there are some things that I totally expected. Like I knew immediately when I saw these things. Other things kind of surprised me after going through my highlight collection. I mean, I think we all know that highlighters kind of exploded with it in the past few years. And so some of these I'm getting rid of, even though they're higher end, nicer, I'm just getting rid of because there are other things that I think do it, but better. They might be more recent or, you know, whatever that the case may be, but there are just some surprises in here for me personally. So let me know if you agree. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, first up, this one is actually no surprise. It's from Milani and I didn't like it ever since I first tried it. This is the Spotlight Face and Eye Strobe palette. This is in the shade Sunlight and you get 3 shades in here, none of which I thought performed all that well, whether you're wearing it on your face or your eyes. I didn't think it was very pigmented. Again, whether you're swirling it all together to wear it as a highlight or kind of picking them individually, this was a harder palette to get at the shades individually if you were going to apply it as a highlight or blush bronzer, whatever the case may be. It just wasn't for me. I'm a little surprised I've kept it in my collection this long just because I really haven't touched it since I first got it because it just didn't work all that well for me. Next up, let's talk about Benefit's High Beam. This actually has a soft spot in my heart because Benefit was one of the first brands that I ever purchased a high-end product of. It was the Benetint, or maybe it was the Cha Cha tint, but either way, Benefit, just from very early on in me loving makeup, I always loved Benefit, the idea of Benefit, and so I have quite a few other products that I love, but this one, High Beam, the product itself is great, but since purchasing this and since this has come out, there have been launches of products that do liquid highlight better. For instance, like the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion, have been using this every day, or similarly the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector liquid version. There are just so many, whether you're looking high-end or drugstore, liquid highlighters that do, the new L'Oreal like drop highlighters that imitate the Cover FX custom enhancer drops or whatever those are. That's another good example. There are just so many things out there that do liquid highlight better than this kind of nail polish applicator looking thing. I'm just not a fan of that. So not that the product is bad, it's just there have since been products that have a better applicator come out, and as a result, I'm more inclined to use those. The same can be said for Benefit's What's Up. On the one end, you have a highlight stick here, and on the other end, you have what I thought was kind of a worthless, like spongy type thing that you're supposed to use to apply and or spread it out. Again, this is kind of a really hard, dense sponge, so I never got it to work for me doing either of those things, just because it would always tend to move my makeup around. And honestly, the same can even be said for the stick. This is definitely a harder stick and it's only become more firm with time as it dries out. So whenever I find myself applying it, I just find it disturbs the makeup underneath. The highlight isn't all that blinding, which is totally, not everyone is into that, which I get, but I personally am. And even if you're not into a blinding highlight, I think there's some other stick alternatives or even other powder alternatives that give you a similar effect as a stick that's just a little bit easier to apply that doesn't disturb your makeup underneath. Next up is from e.l.f. This is from their Essentials line, or like the very, very basic line that they have, and I think they've since repackaged this. This is just their, what I assume is their Essentials highlighter in the shade Glow. They've repackaged it. I don't know if they've reformulated it, but it looks different when you go and look it up online. But either way, this, after swatching it, it's just too glittery for me. I don't mind a glittery highlight, but I have some palettes in my collection that offer some glittery alternatives along with things that I tend to wear more frequently or that I prefer to wear more frequently. And so I just don't need this guy kind of floating around my collection and cluttering it up. On to the next. Here is one from Model Co. I got this from an Ipsy glam bag way back in the day. This is their highlighting trio in Champagne, Peach Bellini, and Bronze. And I actually did some work on this guy. Like I really did like this as a trio because you know me, I love to layer my highlight. But again, since trying this, well, honestly, this is so old, I probably should have chucked it a while ago because it's a cream formula, but I haven't. And since I've gotten this, more cream highlights have launched. And again, it just doesn't, the formulas continue to improve and this one's just kind of left in the dust because it doesn't dry down to a complete powder finish as much as maybe more recent formulas do. Additionally, the size of these pans, I don't know if this was kind of a tester size for Ipsy or if this is the full size thing, but just in general in terms of use, these pans are harder to get at than maybe a larger or fuller sized pan. Especially if you're going to use like this bronzy one for actual bronzer, it just doesn't, this pan size is not conducive to like a nice big brush or stippling or kabuki brush that you might want to get in with a cream product to blend in across your face. And then this is actually the last cream product I have to talk about. This one is from Wet n Wild. It's their Mega Cushion Highlighter. And of the two cushion things they launched, one was a highlight, one was a bronzer. This is the one that I liked the best. But in general, I am just not a cushion girl. I think I need to admit to myself that I appreciated the cushion craze when it happened, but this is just not my preferred format. You have the applicator here sitting on top of this plastic thing that you then have to take off to reveal the cushion. You have to always have to put this back on top of the cushion to worry about it drying out. Kind of like a stick highlight, depending on how you like to apply this. If you're not very careful, I find about like kind of pouncing directly on top of your makeup, it can tend to disturb it. It's beautiful. Like I said, I like the actual product itself. This is not my preferred method of application. And I think there are other similar highlighters out there, like with this is actually very similar to Benefit's High Beam in terms of the pinky pearlescence that it provides, but it's just not my preferred method of application. So if I never reach for it, what good is it in my collection? The next ones were kind of hard for me to come to terms with. They were the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Powders. And while I really loved these when they came out, again, ever since moving on to other highlighters, new things have launched, I've just been exposed to different formulas, different textures, things like that. I've come to find that I reach for these less because they are on the glittery side of things, which I didn't see when I first got them. But again, comparing to formulas that I now like more, these both, I have the Brilliant Strobe Light and the Iridescent Strobe Light, just tend to be a little bit more glittery than I like to wear. Again, there's a time and a place for glitter, but like I said, with the e.l.f. highlight, I have palettes that have those more glittery shades in them, so I just don't need to worry about keeping two individual, like pretty much full-size products, full size in that I haven't used them all. These are definitely full size. Keeping these around when somebody else could get some good out of them. And then the last one I have, this happened in a similar kind of way for me as the Hourglass. It's the Kylie Pressed Illuminating Powder in Cotton Candy Cream. This I also really liked when I first got. I kind of did a full test where I bought a lot of her products and gave them a try. Of all the things I've tried, this was one of my favorites. It's still gorgeous. It's beautiful. I like it. It just is not one of those things that I tend to reach for. It's a very subdued highlighter. It's not that unlike a lot of other things I have in my collection. So when it just comes to things that I use frequently, reach for often, or even travel with, honestly, that tends to be how some of my picks come, as if they're ultra travel friendly. It's a little bit heavier than I'd like, but it also has this cardboard packaging where if things kind of get up under there, it's magnetized, but if something slips under there and then it gets dinged and stuff, it's just not the most travel friendly thing I have. So I think it's just a lot of different things combined to make it a highlighter that I don't reach for all that often. And again, like I said with the Hourglass highlighters, I love it, but I think somebody else could love it a lot more because it's pretty much all left intact in there. So that is it for me, you guys. Those are all of the highlighters I'm decluttering here today. Let me know what you think. If some of these you love, you would never get rid of. If you kind of feel me on some of the others, let me know either way down in the comments below. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.